I don't want to be working on this stupid video, so I'll just make it really quickly. So Bearing comes out with this video, stupid fucking Bearing, annoying cunt, talking about how Kristi and Danny K are behind his doxing. I can categorically say that is not true. I had a conversation with this dude called Bearingcab. I thought he was my friend, so I thought we were having private conversations, but apparently he was leaking everything I was saying to Bearing. What I said in that conversation was they were sharing around private info. But I never said that they doxed the info themselves. I said that that was private conversations. They deleted those messages. As far as I know, they didn't find that information themselves. That's complete conjecture, it's just kind of made up. There's no evidence for it, no evidence whatsoever. I never said it in my conversations. The thing that I was angry about is because I didn't want Danny and Kristi to start going down a road of doxing. And by sharing amongst themselves in private information that was already out there because it's been doxed by other people, not by them, because there's no evidence that they've done that. I've never seen any indication that they have done any doxing of any kind, just that they had some information that was already out there and were sharing it around. I didn't want them to start going down the road of doing that. So I got angry about it. So I was like, you shouldn't share it around. You shouldn't do that. Now, what I said was completely and utterly twisted and just completely mangled by Bearing into him saying that they were behind the original doxing of him. As far as I know, it's just some random fans of his or like some other random people who started sharing around on Encyclopedia Dramatica. So I don't know who was behind it. Like, you know, do some research, find out who it was. Bearing twists that completely mangles it in every possible way that he can, because everything for him is just, how do I attack feminists? How do I attack Kristi? How do I attack Danny? How do I attack Tim? How do I attack Garrett? How to attack just anyone? How do I attack them? There's got to be some way to attack. It doesn't matter how much I have to twist things. It doesn't matter how much I have to, as far as I can see, lie, pathologically lie. Just completely fabricate and make things up. Doesn't matter how much he has to do that, just as long as he can attack. So he twists what I said, which was sharing information that I think was already out there. I'm not sure where they got it from. Privately, and then deleting those messages. He twists that into Kristi and Danny are feeding the people who doxed me.
So back to this conversation between Tim, aka Demotivator Opinion, and Bearingcab, in which Tim actually named those I was asking him for yesterday. The names of the people who orchestrated this whole thing. The people who gathered up all of our private info and put it in the hands of this serial doxer and shitstirrer. Those names were Danny Courts and Kristi Winters. I approached Tim in order to have this confirmed. He was out at the time and couldn't really talk, but as soon as I told him I knew about Danny and Kristi being behind this, Bearingcab gets this message. I have a copy of the conversation between Tim and Bearingcab in which Tim names Kristi and Danny as the ones behind all of this. I'll upload it when and if I need to.
And feeding the people on Encyclopedia Dramatica, and it's a big conspiracy, and they're all working together. And I never said anything like that. And he's like, oh, I've got the conversation between Tim and Bearingcab, if you go and look at that. No, only if you interpret my words in a very uncharitable way. I went back and read it, and I was like, well, I didn't word it, like, very precisely. Like, the way that I worded it made it sound like I was saying that they doxed Bearing, but I wasn't. I was saying they were just sharing privately amongst themselves information that was already out there. And I was angry because I didn't want them to go down that road. So Bearingcab just goes and screenshots our conversation, goes and gives it to Bearing. And he just makes a propaganda video where he's like, I know who's behind it now. Kristi and Danny are behind it. I have no evidence of this. I've got some hearsay. There's no indication of any link between Danny and Kristi and Encyclopedia Dramatica, and there's no evidence that they doxed him. He just goes ahead and just makes it up and just does a propaganda video. So I've come to the conclusion that he's a pathological liar. He just lies. Everything I don't understand it. I try to have a moment where I'm like, I want my side to avoid doing bad things. And he sees that video and he just thinks, how can I twist this? How can I twist this to attack these people? And then first he turns it into a witch hunt. He's like, what are the names, Tim? What are the names? The names of what? People who were talking in private about information that they got from somewhere else that I didn't like, that I heard about, which I think I have every right to be annoyed by. He twists that to, they were behind my doxing, they gathered the information, they fed it to Encyclopedia Dramatica. And like his fans don't necessarily see the difference or the distinction there. All they hear is, oh, the feminists doxed him and it was them who did it and they were feeding and it's just made up. And I don't understand, like, it's really hard for me to have a dialogue or a debate with somebody who twists and lies about, like, literally everything. I feel like there's, like, nothing you can say to this guy that he won't twist. His channel and his videos, to me, are just propaganda. It's just anti-feminist propaganda. There's no debate, there's no dialogue, there's no conversation that's taking place. If I choose, or if I try to have a moment where I criticize my own side for something, it gets twisted beyond all proportion to the point that now Kristi and Danny are facing allegations of having doxed Bearing based on nothing. It's just pure hearsay, it's completely made up. And the only reason I didn't want to say their names was to avoid a situation like this. But it turns out that Bearing's friend Bearingcab is also a fucking liar who I can't trust. So, I mean, I won't be having conversations with him anymore, and I was foolish to trust a friend of Bearing. Because it's just like he's feeding everything I'm saying to Bearing, who's then twisting it through his biased, fucked up mind to turn into some kind of witch hunt against Kristi and Danny, because it's like the most imperative, important thing for him. I don't know how to have a conversation with these people. Because nothing gets in, everything gets twisted, and it's just us versus them. Like, everything is just like they have to destroy feminism, and they have to destroy social justice warriors, and that's just the main prerogative. And, you know, I could say fucking anything, just anything, and it will get twisted. So, it's an impossible conversation, and I feel like I just had to make this video to clarify. What I was talking about was people sharing private information, which, as far as I know, was already out there in a private Facebook conversation, which was then deleted. That's it. And then I just heard about it, and I was like, that's bad. I was not talking about Kristi and Danny doxed Bearing. I wasn't saying they got that information for themselves and they dug it up, because there's no evidence of that. I haven't seen any indication of that. That's what Bearing's video said. And I was not saying that they were feeding the people who doxed Bearing. Where did that come from? This is made up. So I know that Bearing will lie. Like, if he addresses this video, he'll cut it up. And he'll find some angle to attack me, and to find a way to create some kind of conspiracy or fear, or make himself look like the good guy somehow, and he'll just do anything to my video or someone else's video or the information and just twist in order to cast aspersions on people that he has arguments with. And for this, I think he's entirely untrustworthy. I think he can't be trusted, he can't be confided in. There's nothing that can be said to this guy that he won't utterly mangle. And it's just I'm also very disappointed that someone like Bearingcab, who I thought was my friend because of having these conversations, it is just an us versus them thing. Like, I mentioned the names Kristi and Danny, and he just thinks, well, better go tell Bearing about this so that he can just make wild conjecture and then just release a video about it. And I was foolish to trust him. He's even, like, screenshotting our conversation and shit. I'm not even, like, revealing anything that I didn't already say in my video. So I can't trust Bearingcab. I can't trust Bearing to have a conversation. And once again, I'm stuck making a stupid fucking video about this fucking garbage. I fucking hate all of you. Well, not all of you. Just 95% of you. Why can't you just have a regular, normal conversation like a normal fucking person? Why can't you just listen to what I say, and then I can listen to what you say, and then we can have a debate instead of everything being twisted through ideological lenses? And then Sargon of Akkad was on Bearing's video. Wow, Tim's getting woke. What the fuck are you talking about, you stupid cunt? What am I getting woke to? The fact that, like, if I be honest at all about anything, you'll twist it as much as you possibly fucking can. The thing that I've really learned from this is just what disgusting fucking liars anti-feminists are. Not all, but particularly Bearing, a pure liar. Fuck you. Stop lying. Stop it. How do you... It's impossible. How are you gonna twist this video, man? You fucking propagandist. You're so fucking full of shit. I'm never gonna make the mistake of trying to point out bad things my side is doing in a dialogue with anti-feminists. Because it will just get completely mangled and destroyed in every possible way. It's just a waste of time. So I'm just gonna go back to criticizing you cunts. So fuck you.